Welcome to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here today with two guests, Laura Klein and Maya Alyassini. Is that how you spell it, Maya? Or say it?
It's Alyassini.
Alyassini?
Yeah,
Alyassini.
Alyassini. Yeah.
Well, let's bring them on. Two guests from Free Model. Free Model is a design, what would it be called? A design studio? A design, I don't want to say
We're a
flip.
full service. Yeah, we're a full service concierge. We design, manage, and pay for pre-sale home renovations.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Even more exciting because I am doing my very first project with you guys. We're in the middle of it and it's going so well. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm such a control freak. I never like to let anything out of my hands. This is the very first time and it's actually going really well. We'll break that down more, but let's introduce you guys properly. We have Laura Klein, the Director of Partnerships at Free Model. Laura works closely with real estate agents and brokerages to build lasting relationships and help them see the value of pre-sale renovations. She's passionate about making the selling process smoother, more profitable, and honestly, just less stressful for both agents and homeowners. And I am in 100% agreement. And again, this is my first time using you guys, so it's very exciting. And now let's bring on Maya. Maya is, okay, this is so cute. From Lego sets as a kid to asking for an Architectural Digest subscription as a teenager rather than 17 magazine, to my exposure to construction projects via my contractor uncle and love of all things design. I've organically grown into this industry. I have 25 plus years professional experience, including design, renovation, material sourcing, and project management for ultra high net worth clients, homes across the US, consulting on boutique hotel, hospitality, and restaurant projects worldwide, managing ground up design build projects, and spending significant time on the commercial side of tenant improvements and bespoke space selection and delivery. Through my extensive experience working on diverse projects, I have developed a secret sauce where I am able to seamlessly incorporate design, styles, and deploy effective and unique solutions that bring my clients' vision to life and deliver great value and experience. Well, that is incredible. Before I read your bio, I had all kinds of questions. And the first one was, the first one, you kind of broke it down, but I'll let you break it down a little bit more, Maya.
Sure.
Where you grew up and what it was like growing up in that design family. Clearly it started early on and it didn't start later in life. So break down that. It's so cool.
Yeah, I grew up abroad. I grew up in Kuwait, but my parents met here at Berkeley. My dad's from Syria. So we traveled every summer to the States. And my uncle, who is a carpenter and contractor, guess how I got to spend my summers? Go with your uncle to the job site. Go do this, and do that kind of stuff. So organically built it up that way. But I come from a background, my mom's an urban planner, my dad's an engineer. So it was kind of genetically embedded in me. So yeah, I was always playing from day one, Lego sets, even my building blocks as a little kid. My mom said she'd come in and I'd had built little castles and stuff like that. So I've always loved that aspect. And because we traveled a lot to come, you don't stay there in the summer, it's too hot. We'd come visit family in the US and we'd stop in Europe. So I was lucky enough, and my dad traveled for work, but I was lucky enough to get to see and experience that firsthand from a very young age on through adulthood. And, my dad would bring back Vogue magazine and decor for me and architectural from Italy or Paris or wherever he traveled. He'd bring those local stuff.
Wow.
So we got exposed to a lot of that stuff. So yeah. So it was a great childhood. I've always loved it, and it's just kind of in my blood.
Yep, I get it. You liked it from the beginning. It sounds like I grew up in a real estate family, and the only thing I said I didn't want to do when I grew up is real estate, because he was always on the phone. We always had to go to the shopping center, whatever he was working on at the time. And I said, I'll never get into real estate. And then fast forward, here I am today.
Yeah.
So I love your story.
Too now, right?
Pardon me?
Your son too now? It's a family affair?
Yes, and our son, our son, and then my brother is now working with my dad. So it's definitely, my dad's dream is coming true. He wanted a family business, and my husband and I have been working together for 35 years. So now we just need to pull my daughter back in. She's in New York, but who knows? Maybe she'll come back. Okay, so Laura, tell me, I know you're the leader of the bunch, but do you have a design background? Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got into the business.
Yeah, so my mom has been in real estate for around 30 years, so I've been around it. And it's kind of fun to be in real estate now because my mom was here in the Bay Area, and now I'm talking to brokerages and meeting agents, and I they know my mom, and she has such a great reputation. So it's been really fun to kind of be in the industry, but not, in a different way. I've always really liked HGTV series. The before and afters. I just find to be amazing what designers like project directors like Maya can do. But my friend John Garner started the business 5 years ago, and I've been in sales for many years. And I just think the concept of allowing homeowners to basically flip their own house and not have to have any money out of their own pocket. We cover the capital, we design, we're a full service concierge, and getting reimbursed at escrow is such a offering to the client. And so when John Garner started the company, I was kind of telling all of my friends who were real estate agents already just how great this service is. And I was ready to change careers a couple of years ago, and he offered me the position to be the Northern California Director of Partnerships. And I haven't looked back. It's been a really great experience getting to work with agents and project directors, and just seeing homeowners be able to get the best price for their house and make it easy for them, make it easy for you. So I've just really enjoyed the whole process, but I didn't have a design background. I wish I
Yeah,
did, but
no.
I don't.
You've got the real estate networking ability, so I think it goes perfect, it goes
Yeah.
together. So I'm working with one of your other designers right now, project managers, Megan. She's awesome. It's going great. Maya, I haven't had the chance to work with you yet, but job two will be with you maybe. So tell us about how you work. Walk the real estate agent and the client through the process so they can understand what I now see, how easy it is. And also, I think I just want to point out too, some agents aren't as much of a control freak. So you guys do it all. But if there's someone like me, I notice like Megan is really working with me. We collaborated on what we wanted to do. And then a lot of times I trust her and I see what she's doing. And I said, yes, keep going. That's the right way. So walk us through how you work with agents and clients, Maya.
Yeah. So normally, either I have a referral or it comes through Free Model on their website. We have people like Laura who do the lunch and learns and educate agents, right? From that, we'll usually get some follow through on our website and connections. And then we have a team that doles out the projects based on location or scope or all that kind of stuff. And the way I like to work is we set up an appointment. I'll first talk to the agent because the agent already has that relationship with the client. They know the condition, they give us a sense, and our intake team will take that information from you guys. So as is value is what is key for us as a starting baseline. So if you did nothing to the house, no repairs, nothing, and just put it on the market, put a for sale site out front, what would it go for in the current condition? And then the agents, tell us if we did a full reno or if we updated vanities and countertops and new light fixtures and faucets and stuff like that and painting, it'll go for X more. And then if we did a full reno, it'll go for even more. We depend on you agents. You guys know your markets. You're as successful as you are because of what you've been doing. So we use the pre-sale value and the post-sale value. Those are kind of our benchmarks. And then I will have a discussion with you before we meet with the client on site. If the client's there, sometimes it's family because it's an estate thing, it varies, right? But we'll meet on site. You and I will have discussed, okay, I really think we want to keep the budget tighter. Let's just focus on some key things. And then we'll go through and I have an idea, we need this. But when I walk through, I might point out other things. A lot of times we also like to ask you guys to get an inspection done. Because this day and age in this market, with the rates being as high as they are, with insurance being really difficult to get, you need to get some key things handled. That would be, if you have old panels, knob and tube wiring that are visible, certain things like that. Those are the best value add and spend of the up to 500,000 we can supply. We do have a formula. It's not just a blank check. So it's going to be what your value of your home is, what remaining loans you might have, plus our renovation cost. It has to meet 80% of the post rental value. So say you've told me, hey, I'm going to put this house on the market as is at a million. We're going to do about $200,000 worth of work. I think I can easily list it for 1.5. So there was a mortgage maybe of 100K. So our 300K is divided into the 1.5 value. You're within that threshold. So, and part of that is also just so we make sure it's safe, and markets are softer sometimes. We have to account for that. So I'll meet with you. We'll talk about things. You'll give me a high level. You can tell me specifically for those who really like. I really want to do new kitchen countertops, and I want this quality, this product, this color scheme, whatever. We'll get that. I'll have that all in my notes. Then we'll walk the site we'll meet the clients. We'll walk the site. We'll point out, hey, these are the things we should work on, and then I might point out, we can spend a little bit more and maybe update this light fixture you didn't think you wanted to update, but it's like in the entryway and it's going to really pop, and we can modernize it that way or fit it to the aesthetic of the home and the neighborhood, right? So we'll do all that. We'll sit down, and then we have a presentation so the homeowners get to learn how free model works, and I'll explain everything. Then I'll take all those notes, and I like to coordinate. Personally, I do it a little differently. I'll have my first initial meeting with you guys for the first, like, say, half hour, 45 minutes. And then I'll have my team that I work with on site ready to show up after that 45 minutes. So it's a one-time thing, because gaining access again to make sure we're covering everything and I'm getting the proper quotes from my vendors to build out the quote to you guys is key. And then, we then meet, you and I, we can do Zoom meetings, whatever, with the client, but initially I meet with the agent first, and we'll go through the list. And it could be a huge wish list, and we really need to narrow it down. We have the timing issue. We want to get to market within a certain period. We want to keep the budget under X. So we will whittle it down, then we'll present it to the client, and we'll discuss how it works. And generally the way it works is once the client agrees to the pricing and you guys agree to the scope of work, our contracts team will send out a contract. They will sign the contract, and it's fixed price. That's the key. We don't come back unless there's an issue. So we do put caveats. Okay, we're just going to update the vanity and the shower valve and new fixtures. But if we have to open up a wall, we find mold, that will be a change order, obviously. But we always tell you, okay, this is what we found. These are our solutions. This is the pricing. This is which one would you like to go with? Or we have to do this, or we found mold, or we found asbestos. I always test now any project. I test popcorn ceilings for asbestos, because if we want to knock down popcorn ceilings and make it smoother or retexturize, I have to take that into account, right? So again, we'll cover everything. You guys will get the clients will get the contract. They'll sign it. We have to register the deed of trust for that assigned value of the contract, and then the clients have to vacate the house. It's the easiest and quickest for us and most cost effective for us to have the house empty. So sometimes we work with your schedule, like, okay, I can't move into my rental until X, or okay, I can start the legwork. I can start getting permitting. I can start getting architectural plans, engineering if we need it, get everything together. Even been on such a tight deadline, like, okay, can we paint the outside while you guys are inside finishing packing up and the moving trucks are coming on this day? We work with you guys to make it as painless as possible and as smooth as possible. We give updates every week or so based on the schedule, and then we'll share pictures and stuff like that. But the key for us is we have a general idea of what, based on the scope, what the timeline will be. We recognize agents, you guys know the market. We really need to be on before June at the latest, because summer kind of might be dead markets, or even now there's like this weird spring. Before April 15th and after April 15th, up to early June kind of thing, right? But that's how it works. And the good thing is when you get the contract, it's signed, like I said, it's fixed price. After we are done with the work, after I'm done with the work, I do a walkthrough either with you, the agent, or the homeowner, or both. And we confirm everything has been done and we get a signature. I close out my end. And then you have 14 days to list a property. So it gives you time to get pictures, staging in place, and all that. And then the client has a year. If the house doesn't sell within a year, then you get the bill to pay it back, right? But it has to go on sale within 14 days of me, the project manager, saying we're done, all my accounting stuff is finished, and then that gives you guys time. And we know, just so you know, we do include staging. So that is usually a value add you can add into that, because some people are reticent, that don't want to get into, they don't think it's worth it. And we all know staging is worth every penny. So, we
Absolutely.
did all this work to make your house look beautiful, but you don't want to put furniture in there. I mean, let's not stop short of the finish line, right?
No, absolutely. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And now I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm in process right now. I only have two questions.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about the two things that it didn't occur to me. But one of them is so the asbestos. So do you have someone that comes in and does
Yes.
that? Do you do the
Yeah.
testing?
I send the testing in. I have a local lab in Emeryville that I like to utilize, so I can get it expedited. If a really tight timeline, I can get it the next day, pay a slightly higher fee, or within 2 to 3 days, I can get it for a slightly lower fee. I just did a project I'm finishing off right now in San Rafael. We had, it's mid-century. It's original. The tiles, the vinyl tiles are asbestos. So we had the remediation team come. They give us a quote. We build it into our quote. We also have our fees built into the quote price, right? My portion is like any contractor, we have a percentage, and then the carrying cost for the money is built in, and all the back end support. So our projects, would be the same as a contractor, and just a slightly higher sometimes because of the other carrying costs that we have that's embedded into our pricing. But as Laura said, it is basically free money. It is free money until we get the project sold. And the idea being is, you recognize, either the agent can help convince the homeowners, like, this is a value add. If we do this work, we can sell your house faster and generally for more money, that it is worthwhile. So, and then the other thing is, we don't take a cut of that extra money you guys make. It is you just paying us back what we charged for the work. And then the
Right.
property owner gets to keep the 1, 2, 300,000 or more. And you have some ideas on our website. You can see some pretty significant gains on work done. But that's another value. There's other programs where they'll front the cost and then they'll take a split off the backside of it, or they'll charge
Oh,
interest, tie it in, and gets added to the value for the money being utilized, and then still take a split of that. So they're getting paid on two fronts of things. We just like to keep it clean. We do everything by the
I
book.
love it.
Everybody we work with, every vendor we work with, I bring in vendors. I'll work with your vendors. We'll onboard them because you know your crew. You probably have painters you
Right.
love. You have flooring people you love. We onboard them. Everybody has to be licensed, insured, carry $1 million policy. And we are constantly making sure everything is up to date. We check their licensing online constantly to make sure there's no issues. So and we do everything with permitting, as we need to do permitting. Where it's required, we get a
That
permit.
was my second question.
Yeah,
Yes. So you both
we
do
don't.
that.
Yeah, and that's part of this is the value add. Not only do you have somebody, so not all project directors are design oriented too. We have an in-house design team that we work with. I do both. I do project management and the design aspect. And I'll work with the agent or the homeowner even to coordinate, like, okay, like this mid-century modern house, the daughter who grew up in the house, very sentimental, took most of the light fixtures. What I was able to convince her to keep the original dining room light fixture. It's original 1967, mid-century light fixture. So they're working on that kind of stuff. But we will even do everything that on the what is part of the fee is, I'm the one going back and forth to the city. I'm the one meeting with the inspectors. I'm the one doing all that legwork. As you probably know, having done projects, how much time does that take? How
Oh
many
yeah.
times do you have to like then respond? And we charge a fee for that, but it's for the time we're spending going back and forth, making sure, answering questions. Once there's a design review, depending on the scope, we then have to resubmit stuff based on what they wanted, address stuff on the inspections. So it is not just that I'm managing the project for you guys. I'm also managing the permitting process. I'm managing the timing of deliverables, materials, all that is included in it. So the idea is, we want to make it as seamless. It's a hard transitional point. There's a lot of sentimentality sometimes for people, like, okay, I need to sell my mom's house now that she's passed, but we want to make sure we can get the best. It's part of the estate. We want to make sure everybody can get value out of it. That's why my parents worked so hard to keep this house, to do all this stuff, right? So
Absolutely.
we care for each house as if it were our own. I literally only put products that I would put in my own renovations in my house, and they're
It sounds like
still economical, but they look good, right? Sometimes you spend a
right.
little more because we need to spend a little more. Like, I'm going to spend a little more on a light fixture because it's really going to make it pop and it sits, but it's
Right.
worth it, and you're going to get that money back, you know?
Yeah, I was just looking at our, Megan sent me over a design sheet and I saw some fixtures, and I'm usually the one spending hours and hours and
Yep.
hours listing all. I mean, you don't think in a small house, there's still 20 fixtures, and
Yep.
I'm going through and trying to pick them. And so when she sent over the snapshot of what she was using, they were different. It was,
Yep.
they were so nice and they really popped. Okay, we have to go to commercial break. We'll be right back with Laura and Maya. Welcome back to Mastering the Art of Real Estate. I'm your host, Debbi DiMaggio. We are here with Maya and Laura with Remodel. I'm with Corcoran, so we call it Spruce Home Advantage. It's the same as the parent company, Remodel. So I want to we learned all about how that works, and I love it, and I'm really happy with Remodel. Let's go in. I want to hear some of your experience, your design experience, Maya. You have some incredible experiences, so let's highlight that. Tell me about the boutique hotel. That take us through. I'm very visual. To take us through a
Yeah.
visual journey of that boutique hotel you worked on.
Yeah, so I was actually working. This was in the Gulf in Dubai and Doha. I was working with friends of mine who were also doing that project, doing all the other rooms and and stuff like that. But I helped them focus between the restaurant and the lobby to kind of update everything and make it more cohesive. So it's a little different, the style there, right? In the Gulf,
Yeah,
so it could be lots of gold, lots of this, lots of that.
very
We
grand.
toned it down to make it modern and sophisticated. So all the bench seating was tufted with a nice velvet style material. And then all the buttons were a nice little brass, right? And it had the branding that embedded into the brass within the buttons. We had a special feature at their bar area, as they would call it, that was backlit. And so it was this beautiful onyx stone that was about 20 feet tall. And then from that, we had nice brass suspended shelving for all the glass and the alcohol and the drinks and whatnot like that. So, and then embedding it into the flooring. So it gets so hot in there, and it's really hard to manage the temperature fluctuation. And there's a lot of effort going into HVAC. So
Wow.
it's when you come in from into the lobby, there's like a double section lobby. So you come in with a quick cooler hits, and then it's more centralized, and because this location was where they were developing and building out more of that area, it was going to be a hub with a lot of conventions and meetings and tourists alike. And so we needed to incorporate handling this fluctuation. People don't think about this, the fluctuation within an office space or a space between a huge gathering that raises the temperature up really quickly. And so, how does your
Wow.
system not overwork itself
That's
to
true.
catch up when you have an event somewhere? And so it was very, I mean, we had a lot of specialists that the hotel company itself brought in to manage that, but we had to coordinate because we don't want some ugly sensor. We spent all this lovely money updating everything, and then you put this ugly piece of plastic. So we had custom matching material wallpaper features done on it so it would be hidden, but it would still see
Okay.
it. Same for the security sensors and everything else, and the sprinkler heads and all that. So that was definitely a fun and a little challenging because I was more remote, but I was able to source materials that they couldn't necessarily get where they were. So then we were sending it over, usually in large chunks by freight, otherwise actually paying quite exorbitant amounts via DHL to get over there. So yeah,
Oh my
but
God.
that was fun. That was a fun one.
That sounds really exciting. Wow, what a life you've had. It's so incredible.
Yeah.
What can you share one of your most memorable experiences and how it impacted your career?
So I would definitely have to say, and I know I kind of answered that a little bit in your questionnaire. I would say it was a culmination. It was not any one piece, right? But one thing that really sticks out to me was, as I said, my uncle. I would go help him. So over the years, free child labor, but no, not really. But over the years, he gave me more things to do, physically do, not just clean the job site up, not just make sure bring him this or that. When I was about 12, 13, he was working on this beautiful place in Malibu. We're on the beach, and this guy had everything customized. And so he's like, okay, you know how to do kitchens. So go do all the joinery I need for the cabinets and make sure we finish
Wow.
it and sand it down properly. And then, all right, let's look at this wood feature. The master suite had a 3-level full roof awning system, like it rolled back. So you could just remove the heat shield portion of it. Then you can open up and it had a screen on it. And then you can open it up completely to just have the night sky. And it had a sensor built in. So if it was raining, it would go and close itself and stuff. So just making sure that was working well, but also the fine detailing we had to do in woodwork around it to surround it. So things like that. That was definitely one of those things like, okay, I can get into this more. My career took me elsewhere. I've done lots of other things, but I've always had on the backside people coming to me like, hey, can you help me with this project? Sure, I can help you. And so I've always consulted on the side when I was working in other fields. I worked in mortgages, I worked in biotech. I was
Oh,
even
wow.
on the brokerage side for a minute for a company in San Francisco, and I was in charge of all the agents coming on board, finding their office spaces, doing the lease negotiations, designing and managing those build outs for their office spaces. So that was fun. And we grew nationally. So I don't have any one thing, but I would definitely say, as a child, my experiences traveling and getting to engage with the things that I was seeing and absorbing that and seeing the functionality. It's not just the form.
Mm,
I think that's where I'm
right.
a little more unique. Like I can say, okay, yeah, we can put this element here, but did you consider it's going to somewhat impede the pathway? Or if you wanted to have this as a kids play zone next to your area where your kitchen is, we can improve it by changing this, removing these cabinets so you have better visual. You don't need these upper suspended cabinets. So little things. So I like to always see, because my dad's an engineer, how it works. And then my mom's a planner. Overall, the micro macro of everything. How does the small little things affect things? Like where are you putting your light switches? Oh, I can
Right.
pass through from the hallway through the kitchen to the dining room, but I don't want to have to walk all the way back. So we need to update 3-way lighting. You have to change that, or even 4-way, because you can have different entryways and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say one specific thing. I think
Right.
a culmination of all lived experiences has really further developed. And even now, with every project I do, I constantly am learning
Right.
something. I'm
Absolutely.
constantly learning
Even
something new.
after
Yeah.
35 years, I'm always learning something new or learning from how someone does it maybe a little differently.
Yeah.
So, what was my question? So, well, you both can answer this question. What are some typical misconceptions? And let's start with you, Laura. Some misconceptions in this business, and how do you overcome those misconceptions? To those, I'm sure you hear it from people and clients all day long. They're asking you, well, what do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the major misconceptions is that we're too expensive and that we take too long to get projects done. And I would
Okay.
say that, we might be more expensive than you having your handyman come out and do, a little bit of work, but we are competitive. We are just like a general contractor. We do offer, like Maya had said, we offer the design, manage, and we're the GC. And we give you a year to sell the house. There's no interest on the money. So I think, we are competitive. And then what else would you say the misconception is? Oh, timing. People think, oh, how fast can you get projects done? Because obviously, being a real estate agent, you want things to get done as quickly as possible. And what's nice is our project directors, because we are basically flipping houses all the time, our project directors have their teams and sometimes multiple teams to be able to do multiple projects. And they orchestrate everything in such an easy way for the projects to go as smoothly as possible. So I feel like every time I get an objection, we always are able to explain how we get things done. And usually my project directors say they're waiting on the homeowner to sign the paperwork. That's usually what takes the longest time.
Right. So
Yeah.
I did have a question, Maya, wanted to answer, and that was helpful, Laura. Are you a contractor, and are all your project managers contractors?
So Free Model itself is a contractor. So all of us
Okay.
project managers are under the Free Model umbrella as contractors.
Got
Some of us project directors are contractors, licensed contractors. I'm actually getting ready to take my test. So
Yeah,
I've
I
never
figured
done a
you must
no,
be.
yeah, but the thing is, again, tying to like knowing those nitty gritty, like when they ask why is it taking so long, part of it is we do have to do, and that is one of our things. We're not gonna sneak around and do something that normally would require a permit and cover it, like get a permit for Y, but we're really doing X under the guise of Y. You know, inspectors are not stupid. They're going to see things, they're going to notice, right? And we don't want to take that liability. One of the reasons we do everything by permits, and one of the reasons we work with people who are licensed and insured and bonded, is because then if there's a problem, we can address it properly. If you have a client who wants to kind of shortchange some of this stuff, sometimes we will say, I'm sorry, we can't work with you. We do have to do this by permit. And each city and or county, permitting times can be quick, or like Tiburon, it's a 3 to 4 week process
Wow.
to do a design review. So I have this project where the previous owner did all this unpermitted work. There was a pre-sale inspection as required by the city, and of course it was called out. And now, unfortunately, this lovely couple has to spend most of our budget addressing all this unpermitted work and
Mm,
fixing it, because the city of Tiburon has a rule. You can either pass that on to the homeowner and the new homeowner has 30 days, or you as a seller need to get everything addressed and then have the inspection done again when you're done. But that requires a design review. That's 3 to 4 weeks. But good. This is what we have. That's just for the unpermitted work. I don't need a permit for painting. I don't need a permit for flooring. We're replacing the roof. While that 3 to 4 weeks is happening, all this other stuff is happening inside the house. My electrician gets his permit. That's a quick over the counter permit to update electrical where he needs to. My roofers get their permit to do their roofing. My painters are doing what they need to do. And we can keep working. That's what I said. Like, even with the delay of the client moving out, we can do stuff. I order materials. I go get my permits all lined up, ready to go. So sometimes those delays, it's not because we're slow. In fact, that's the opposite. It is truly based on, because I literally have my baskets when I've gone through with you guys on that. All the sites I'm ordering things from are ready to go as soon as I get notice that the deed of trust has
wow.
been registered, not just signed. This is the key thing that people need to understand. We as project directors cannot start spending any money until the deed of trust that we file has been registered at the county or city level or wherever we're at. So then I literally have my baskets full. And then as soon as I get the ping from my team, I'm like, purchase, 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 purchase.
Mhm.
So because that helps get us ahead, right? We don't
Right.
have any issues. And then, especially now, unfortunately, with tariffs and people pulling back, and like my cabinet people that I go to, they are giving us a heads up. Like, we have about a month or two max of runway of existing material. And the owner said, yes, the next shipment coming into the port will have the new tariff prices. And the tariff prices constantly change, so we don't know at what rate we're going to be paying for. But
Right.
it's even trickier now for us in this climate to figure out, okay, I'm sourcing this, it says it's available, I ordered it, and then there's a lag. Even Amazon these days, I'll order something that they say it can be 2 days, and then suddenly, oh, sorry, it's delayed, it's delayed, it's delayed. So then I have to go spend more money to get something else. I don't come back to you and say, hey, I had to spend more money to get this finished, like a heated mat for the flooring, right? Underfloor to heating mat. I
Okay.
like, we have to eat that cost because we gave
Oh,
you a quote.
oh,
So
wow.
that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to come back. If it's a change order because it's a valid change order in the terms of, hey,
Right.
like your kitchen cabinets, I have that ready to go. As soon as I get that deed of trust ping, I am telling my cabinet people, okay, place the order because I want to lock in my pricing. And so
Okay.
there is going to be a little bit more sense of an urgency, I feel like. And all of us project directors were just talking about this actually last night at dinner, a few of us, how we are going to be ready. And I think homeowners have to be prepared. There's going to be sticker shock. We are going to have sticker shock unfortunately, we can't absorb that. We just have to pass that along. But we will do what we can in the interim besides getting everything ready, doing work while we're waiting on permit reviews or permit, responses. Even in San Rafael, it's 2 to 3 weeks for a countertop permit for a simple like for like update. Um,
Just a countertop?
just a simple countertop because they have to outsource their plan checkers. Now, a lot of cities don't have in department plan checkers. They outsource because of budget cuts over the years. So that's one of the reasons it takes a little longer for us to get a response. Like, hey, this is my permit, this is my scope of work, these are the drawings. It took 3 weeks for the plan checker to give me and then, by the way, that's giving me comments, so then I have to respond, and then they have 10 days to get back to me from that response. So we always try to make it as clean as we can, and when we submit, that's why I spend time on the front end. I'll go in, I was like, hey, this is what I have, this is my scope, what else do you need me to highlight on my drawings, what else do you think will come up, let me know now so I'll put it in, so that I don't have to have 2-3 rounds back and forth of response, because I can't start working till they give me that permit. Unless I
Right.
do a demo permit, I can demo, but I can't start working on anything else. And so
So
I think to
when
answer your, yeah, sorry.
No, so when you or any of the project designers walk into a house, whether it's Piedmont, Oakland, Tiburon, San Leandro, wherever it is,
Yeah.
do your project managers know without the agent or the homeowner telling you, what needs a permit and what does not?
Yes, and usually even after our meeting, I will go double check because code keeps getting updated all the time. So one inspector might, even though they're being trained at the city, might go by the previous code, but there was a board meeting and then there'll be updated codes that the inspector might not be aware of, that I can say, hey, no, this code is saying it's actually this much square footage I'm allowed versus that previous year's code. But yes, we do that. And so part of that, again, that's the value add of, because you would have, if you were a homeowner and you got your handyman and they were cheaper, that's just the handyman. You have to do the ordering and the sourcing and figuring it out. They'll get some materials, but the other stuff you have to do. Then you have to go deal with the city, and or you can pay a project manager separately to handle that for you. So you're paying two fees that they build up into their pricing on top of
Right.
what you're buying. We're
And doing the work
encompassing that
and doing
in
all the work.
one. Yeah, and you're basically getting three different heads, three different workers for the price of one project director. And that's in part
Right.
why we're a little more expensive, because we are including, just like a contractor, their pricing. But like I said, we're doing more than one piece of it. Your GC will, he embeds, even when he buys materials, he adds an upcharge to what he's doing because he's capturing some money, time and labor to go pick it up from the store, all that stuff. So that is those little nuanced things. But in reality, if you think about what you're getting in terms of services and the relief, the not having to think about it, not having to worry about it, just being updated as things progress where we're at. And then to the point you were asking earlier, I work with you, the agent, as closely as I can because we do give a timeline. If a change order pushes our timeline out significantly, we'll add that to the time frame. But I then get, okay, we're going to be ready, Debbie, in like 2 weeks. We'll be close to finish when, and but we'll tell you maybe a month before because we know the good stagers, they're really busy. You got to get on book and secure them, right? So we'll
Right.
say, okay, a month or so before, and I ask you, how long do your stagers need as a lead time? We're about two half weeks out from being done, and then you can have your stagers. And if it's a super tight timeline, I can do everything and then call for final afterwards. We're allowed to have staging
Mm,
material. In most cities, you're allowed to have staging material. Nobody's living there. It's just
right.
staging for the sales of purposing. So again, one of those things we're doing, that balancing act of, okay, I just need to come in and touch up a few things. My painters are done. But even when you move staging in, something might get nicked, we'll touch that up. Or like, oh, this light fixture, suddenly the bulb went out, I'll come back and replace that. But we can get your staging in, you can get your pictures done, your marketing, and then you're on the market ready to go. So
Right.
we work in tandem with you guys a lot.
Definitely. When you say you're more expensive, who are you saying you're more expensive than who?
That a handyman, or not than a GC, but more like, you can get
Okay.
your handyman who can come in and do some stuff, and yeah, he can do his
Okay.
counter stuff like that. And by the way, when that's the pushback, we're more costly. It's costly because we're incorporating our fee, right? Our percentage, and then the carrying costs. It's free money in a sense, but we still have carrying costs on that. We have support on at free model on the back end to help us. So if it's not me doing designs, I have the design team. They're helping us. They're helping us manage that stuff. They're helping us troubleshoot things. So, you know,
Right. There's a
yeah.
lot of people, a lot of hands involved. So,
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that, I try to shout to the skies about the back end support team at Free Model who are amazing, between the designers, our accounting
yeah,
team, our intake team, our marketing team, everybody. And then our like people like Laura who go out there and help spread the word for us, because, we our income comes from doing these jobs. For some of us, it's part-time because we also do things on we have other jobs. For some of us, it's full time, and so people can make a living on this. But we have one project director who does an average of about 20 to 25 a year. That's
wow,
pretty active, and she's been
yeah,
with Free Model early on, in the early days. So she's seen all the iterations of how our modeling has changed a little bit and stuff like that. But she's
right.
great. She does great work, and the funny thing is, other agents will come to her and say, "Hey, Laura, what houses are going to be ready that you're working on soon?" And then they'll go tour those because they know the work product and quality behind it.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
with that, let's dive into that. Laura, give us a couple samples of it cost, and you can in your mind think of a house you just did. How much money went into the house, and how well did it do? I mean, you're not going to be expected to remember what it should have gone and what it went, but just show, we spent 300,000 on this, and give us some
Yeah.
samples of what.
So I just finished a townhouse in Alameda, actually, on Harbor Bay Island. It had been listed. There were no staging. They didn't do anything. They had it on the
Oh, wow.
market for about 2 months with price reductions coming in, and this was still, in the good time of the year,
Hmm.
towards the end of the year into the end of the new year. And then the agent brought me in to Free Model, and there was like the clients were like, "Oh, this is way too costly," because part of it was there was a caveat line item of testing for asbestos. We
Mm.
just got the test that was negative, so I actually refund that in. We're not going to charge you for a service like, hey, asbestos removal is going to be $6,500, but there's no asbestos. At the end, when I close out my project, that gets refunded back to the total project cost. But that project, I came in, it was a like for like update, all new bathrooms, all new kitchens, all new flooring, interior painting, recessed lighting that wasn't there before. We added recessed lighting. It was the
Wow.
old school, a plug and a switch, and that's where your light was for the room, right? Um, and then updated everything, updated the plumbing in the kitchen, updated the plumbing in the
Fun.
bathrooms, all that. It took me about just shy of about a month and a half, and that was with permits. And we spent around $109,000, and it's already pending right now. It's in escrow. It was on the market
Wow.
2 weeks, and then 2.5 weeks, and then was in escrow. So I don't know the
That
final price, but from what it
right.
was when she dropped it down, the last reduction, we were closer to the 750 mark. And then I put, like I said, about 110 total, maybe 109. I think it's going to go close to list price, if not list price, which is 899, I believe. So,
Oh
um,
my gosh. That's
so
incredible.
for the clients, it was a bigger spend. But the other thing is they're stressed because they're paying two mortgages because they're in their other house, and then they have to pay HOAs on top of it. And they sat on the market for 2.5 months and couldn't get it moved. And within 2.5 weeks, it's pending already. And as we know, townhouses and condos are a little more challenging to sell.
Yeah.
But this one, I think the relief is more of what they appreciate. The extra money is a bonus right now. They just want to be
Yes.
done. They want to be out. They want to be away from that whole setup, and moving on with their life. So that's an
That's
example of one.
incredible.
Yeah,
That's a great story, Lori. You're going to have to send me that house because that's a good story for me to share with my clients who are on the fence. Because in this market right now, we're having the tariffs, and we're also having slow pockets like that.
yeah,
Not everything's selling. We had a couple houses take quite some time, so that's a really great story. Not even how much it sold for over, but that it was on the market, and at the same market it's so powerful because you were in the same market took
Yep.
it off, went back on, and sold it. So that is a huge testimonial to you guys.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And so this was Alameda. And so you knew right away with the remodeling of the kitchens and baths that you knew that you needed to get permits. And
Yeah, and it was a luck,
and
and I actually challenged the city a little bit. They have a countertop permit, and again, when they say countertop these days, by the way, everything's online. And so one of the tidbits I gave to you in your questionnaire, I was like, if I'm to coach anybody, go do your due diligence and go in and meet with them. Apply online, but go in, or even before you apply online, I go in. I'm like, okay, this is what I have. Is this good to go? I'm going to go apply online. And then submit it. But I found code in their own thing that said they were trying to say, oh, you need to get a permit for this for the kitchen update. I was like, no, it says like for like kitchen is excluded, even if I'm just updating the plumbing. So I didn't need to do that. It was only for the shower valve. Honestly, it was only the shower valve because we
oh,
had to open up the
oh wow.
wall. We redid the plumbing in there and updated the piping, and because we added a new shower valve, so we had to have them come in, check the waterproofing, check the plumbing connections, and then close it up and have them confirm that. But that was the only permit I needed. Everything else was like for like kitchen update,
Wow.
because we were literally taking the cabinet out and replacing it with something new, and then maybe updating the connections, the valve, the water shutoff valves, because they were rusted or old. But we're not changing anything. We're not opening up walls. We're not going into any of that stuff. So that kind of thing. That's why it was quicker in that instance. But yes, when we work as project directors, and again, even newer directors, if they're in a new territory, maybe than where they're used to working, because SoCal, it's a little further spread out. We have project directors in all of California, Florida, and Texas. So those Florida and Texas and SoCal, they're a little more spread out. Their territories, they have to know more. So they might be starting something, but we know how to go find the answers, so that we're the experts when we're talking to you, the agent, and you, the client, and explaining it's going to take us this much longer because this is unincorporated, which means I have to go to the county. The county is different than the city. Like another example, I have a project in Lafayette. It's an unincorporated Lafayette. Thank God unincorporated falls into Contra Costa because they are way faster, because the city of
Yeah.
Lafayette itself, it's a month to just get answers for your permit.
Wow.
And
And
they outsource everything.
is that like for like too, or is that
Even
all?
with a simple like for like in the city of Lafayette, it takes them a month
Wow.
because it's outsourced for the plan checkers and the reviewers and stuff like that. It's a smaller department. So thankfully, he's still counted within the Lafayette, the best school district, all that kind of stuff. But his house is Contra Costa, so I get to deal with Contra Costa, which is more efficient, faster, and stuff like that. So, I mean, even within Alameda County itself, Alameda County is huge. And there
Right.
are cities within Alameda County that we know to be big cities, but it technically falls into unincorporated Alameda County. That's different than the city of Alameda's permitting. It's a different beast. But yes, that is again one of those value adds for the slightly higher
Huge.
price of why you guys want to work with us, because we manage it, we take the stress out of it, we figured it out, we get all the answers we need to present to you the solutions. We don't come to you with problems, we come to you with solutions. We had this hiccup by this inspector. I've escalated to ask his manager to review it. If they still come back to it, I found the code. Like I'm online reading code, international code and California code, and then the city's code. And I'm pulling that to counter, like this inspector called, I need this. I was like, we didn't touch this post on the deck. We're just replacing the top side of the deck. I don't need to get you structural engineering. We didn't change anything. I'm allowed to do this. Here's the code, you know. I don't need to pull structural engineering. I don't need to redo my footings. I'll shore them up just to be safe, but you don't need to force our hand into doing something. We do the work that we know we need to do to make something right and proper. And like I said, those footings, for instance, on the deck post, it's a
Hmm.
old school, simple 4x4 redwood post, and it's on a concrete base, which the dad did a good job doing that on a concrete base versus in the ground. I just went and got metal strappings and put them on there. I didn't charge the client. I just need to make sure it's done right. Like I don't want to leave like little things, like I'm not going to come back to you and nickel and dime you. Little things like, oh, we opened up a wall and we need to update the insulation now. The code changed. Okay, I'll update if it's a small section, I'll go buy a roll of the higher R value and install it. If it's a big section, then we do have to do a change order, But again, our cost might be slightly higher than a general contractor, but you're getting all these other things, and everybody on that job site is licensed and insured. Like even my crew can't just pick up an extra day laborer to come work on site. I know who's on my crew. If they need to hire somebody else, then they hire somebody else, and that's the benefit, as Laura mentioned, that we have couple teams that we work with because we're working on multiple projects usually at the same time. If I'm at the close of, like right now, I'm finishing off this project in San Rafael and we're turning it over Monday. It doesn't look like it's all going to be ready, but I'm pulling other guys to come help my main guy because the tiling project and the primary suite is much bigger. And so now I was like, okay, let me take something off of you. I'll bring somebody else in, and it still falls within my budget. I'm just paying them, and so we have the resources at our ready. You know how hard it can be to find a contractor these days. Everybody's booked out. You want to work with a contractor, they're 3-4 months out for a simple bathroom reno. And you're like, can't you just squeeze me in? I'm like, yeah, I have other projects, other commitments. What contractors we work with, like I've honed my team down that I have my key people and a couple backups. And my key people, whenever I call, it's like, hey, I've got a project. Okay, yes, let's go. Let's check it out. Because they know it's going to be a good project. It's going to run more smoothly. And then they get paid what they want to get paid, and they're happy, and it's consistent business. So and one of my team members, she's getting her contracting license, and they're now expanding from flooring. They're going to do cabinetry and all that. So I'll work with her as they expand her business to be like, great, let's look at your cabinetry work. Let's see how I can pull that into my projects instead of going to this other vendor, right? So,
right. Yeah. What area do you work? I definitely have to work with you.
I'm technically in Marin County, but I work everywhere. Like I've done projects in Los Gatos. I did a project in Alameda, the Lafayette project. There was a project in Walnut Creek that I was going to work on, and the family, because of timing, just decided to sell as is. It was a trust thing. But yeah, I work all over the Bay Area, and I even work in SoCal. So I have my connection in the LA area.
Okay, I do a little work down there too. So I tried to work with someone there. It didn't really work out. It takes a lot sometimes it depends on the homeowner to understand the cost and stuff.
Yeah.
So I did see, I think I did get bids on the property I'm working with now, and it didn't seem like it was so high. It felt really good. It felt like what we were getting. It didn't seem like this extra cost. So I do want to point that out. If someone was on the fence, they could get, their handy people or painters to do a bid. It wasn't a big difference to me. So I'm very happy with that. So that's where you work. And then Laura, tell us anything you want to share about Free Model and your experience. And I mean, it seems like it's going really well and it's kind of running itself, but what sort of issues have you come into, or just share some highlights of your experience?
Oh, so for me, yeah. So I just think that it's been really great working with all the different agents, and we've been able to really, our average return on investment is about 230% increase for the homeowner, which is a really, value to the homeowner. Like I said, we allow homeowners to flip their own house basically, which is really nice.
Right.
And our project directors, we have around 27 local project directors in the Bay Area, which allows, no matter where you have a property, we can help you guys out. And for an agent, we increase your commissions by about 20%. So it's really a win-win for everyone to work with Free Model. We do all the project management, so you guys can do what you do best, and that is talking to people and selling homes versus running to Home Depot and picking out paint color, So I just really think that it's such a great value add. And I think that it's not going to be right for every single client, but it is an option to offer it to your clients in your listing presentations, because we do find that our agents who work with us win listings because they let their client know that they have a service like Free Model available to them. And it's just another option to give to them.
Right. exactly. No, it's great. And uh, what was I going to just ask you about? So, just in closing, because we have to wrap it up, any last words you want to share with us, and how do we get in touch with you guys as Free Model? But any last words you want to share with our agents and homeowners and clients? Oh, the question came back to me. Do you work with people who are going to flip homes? Like if an investor wants to use you, do you work with those people?
Yeah, our numbers and modeling is a little different for that. And we also do post-sale renos, just so you guys know. It's not all pre-sale
Oh,
renos.
okay.
The difference on
Okay.
post-sale renos, so say somebody buys a house and they know they want to renovate before they go in, or they're in there, but we ask them to leave if it's extensive or just keep them to one side. Um, Pre-sales, you get paid, you pay us back at escrow. Post-sale renos, we give you your fixed pricing, and then it's at every 2 week billing period. We take it over that period of time, and then you have a slightly larger one towards the end usually. And so post-sale
Okay.
renos, it's the same thing. We do the exact same thing. We come in, we walk through, we look at stuff. Sometimes with post-sale renos, even the homeowner wants to give selections. So I'll offer like, here are 2 or 3 different lines of fixtures with this style. If you like this style, then I'll mimic that for other things, like within the light fixtures, within the faucets, within the drawer pulls, all that kind of stuff. But we do post sale renos and we do work with flippers. Each segment is a little different in our qualifying modeling of how it works for us, and then the payment terms are different. So pre-sale, it's always going to be at escrow, and the other two, it's billed basically every 2 weeks. Now that is a benefit because, as you know, you work with a contractor. What do they want? 50% up front. And then usually,
Right.
while you're 3/4 of the way in or half of the way in, suddenly they're like, "Hey, I need a little more," and then, "Oh, the price went up," and then so you keep getting kind of hit at different periods where it's consistent. You know, every 2 weeks you're going to get this charge because it's over amortized over that period of time we say it's going to take. They'll break it out, and you know what you have to come up with for every 2 weeks and
Right.
have of it. You don't have to pay
And
us a big chunk up front.
what I'm hearing too is if you hire a contractor to do these post jobs, if they hire a contractor to do a job, they also have to maybe get an architect and a
Yep.
designer and so many others. So
Yep.
you are the contractor and the designer and the
No,
project
we
manager.
work with to clear that up. We work with licensed. We have some architects within our design team, but that's for simpler things. But we have partnerships with licensed architects, structural engineers, all those people. Even we just onboarded an as-built company where they scan spaces and will give us exact dimensions in drawings. And it's not an inexpensive thing, but it's more cost effective than having an architect go out and remeasure everything and make sure the drawings are right. It gives us updated plans. We, as project directors, we also use Canvas. So I will go into a space and scan it. It'll convert that within a few days to what that dimensions are. And then I'll take that to my cabinet people, or I'll use the calculations for my flooring. And then I can design the layouts based on that scans document. But we do everything, and then we add those fees in there, right? So the architect's going
Right.
to charge X, that's in our bid. The engineer's going to charge X, that's in our bid. And we give a window. Structural might be a little more. We're going to put this price point. We'll let you know. It might be a little more depending on what the city says. We want extra views or calculations or whatever. But yeah, we have all of that embedded. And again, you don't have to go source these things. We have I think we have at least 8 or 9. We just added a few more architects, and we have about 4 to 5 structural engineering firms. And then we have people who are just draftsmen. And then our design team,
Wow.
they can work with SketchUp and Design 2020 to do stuff as we need to. And some of us designers also, one of our designers in LA, she's an architect, so she can do all that kind of stuff. And I can work with the programs and I'll retool my layouts, make notations, and submit those as my plans. The scans and with the notations, this is where the lighting is, this is where that's how I can submit that. It makes it faster and more cost effective. So you don't have to go get an architect to draw everything because my scan works
Yeah.
for like. And I'm like, I'm making this a 3-way light, and this is the light locations, and these are the switch locations. I'm calling out the updated, and that's one of the things people don't recognize, by the way, in kitchen remodels, as you know. The new code, it's not that new. Every appliance has to be on its own circuit. So that is extensive amount of work because back in the day, you would have your fridge, your microwave, your
Right.
dishwasher, and your oven even all on one circuit. It's a bigger circuit,
Right.
but still not enough.
Right.
So
Right.
that is part of what we handle for you too. We make sure everything's to code. You don't have GC like some places. older houses, they didn't have a GFCI outlet in the bathroom. Anywhere it's close to water, we update that to a GFCI.
Right.
We update your smoke detectors to be carbon and smoke. We update bathrooms have to have a room occupancy sensor. Certain rooms have to have a room occupancy sensor now. So it's not just a light switch so that you're not wasting energy. So we bring things up to be energy efficient.
Nice.
We update stuff to the current code. And that's, again, like you said, you don't have to, as a homeowner working with your contractor, when you buy a house and you want to do your work before you move in, you're going to have to go find an architect. You're going to have to pay for that. And then you're going to have to follow up on them, because we all know they're all
Exactly.
busy. They're all and structural
Exactly.
engineers, they're a few months out sometimes. So you then have to look and source somebody else who can do it. But how do you know if they're good, right?
Right.
Our
Absolutely.
design team knows the people in the fields. So we bring on people who we can trust and have good relationships with.
So we are at the top of the hour. This was incredible. Of course, I think we only hit one commercial, but how do we get a hold of you guys? And I do have some service provider referrals for you guys. I have someone in Orange County who's wonderful. So I will send that to you when we get off. But how do we get a hold of you?
Laura? Nope.
Can't hear you.
I had put myself on mute, of course. Sorry about that. The fastest way to get connected to a project director is just go to our website at remodel.com. It's just one word. And on the page, it says, get a free estimate. You fill that.
Or let's talk, yeah.
Or let's talk. But to get connected to our project director and you want a free estimate, just click that free estimate button and then you'll get connected to one of our project directors. If you just have a question, you can also go to the let's talk button, but that's the easiest way.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to reach out to a specific project director, when you do the let's talk, in the notes section, you can put notes in there if you have somebody.
Oh, okay.
It comes to a point too, by the way, us project directors working with you agents, we develop our own relationships. So you don't have to, every time you have a new project, go through the site or go through our team to get that connection. You're like, hey, Maya, I have another project. Can you come meet me with the clients on this date? And that's almost this is how much usually every agent who starts working with Free Model, you find a project director you like working with, you guys create this symbiotic relationship. You just reach out and you just feed it to them so you can keep getting more listings. So
Wonderful.
you spend your time that you were working on a project going and getting more listings, right?
Absolutely.
And then we handle everything for you. So we have a lot of project directors, but we also, all of us, I'm constantly working with the same agent that's going to come back to me and say, hey, I need this, or hey, I want this. And it can be small projects, by the way. Our projects don't have to be these massive renos. It can be just as simple as, I just need new painting, steam clean the carpets, and put a new light fixture and some new faucets, and we'll call it a day. And that's what it could be. Or the project cost might be a little too high, but your painter can do it for less. Your painter does it, and we'll do the other things that are just you don't want to pay for out of pocket. That happens all the time.
Right.
It could be like, oh,
that's
do
awesome.
my roof, do my electrical panel. I'll get my painter to do the painting. So
wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. It was so wonderful. We'll have to do it again because there's more to explore. And what an interesting life you've had, Maya. Very exciting. I look forward to meeting you in person, and Laura resyncing up with you soon. And we'll have a little launch party at the new project we're doing with you guys, and we can talk about how that went too. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This was great. Welcome. Have a great day.
Tune in each week for another episode of Mastering the Art of Real Estate with host Debbi DiMaggio. Here Fridays, noon Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network. Tune in to where real estate matters matter.